1942, the Food and Drug Administration. A quiet ruling that pulled 3% hydrogen peroxide off the shelves of every American pharmacy as a treatment for anything beyond a cut. 1942, the same year sulfa drugs were being rationed for soldiers. 1942, the same year my own grandmother told me she stopped getting strange looks at the drugstore in Tulsa for buying 4 brown bottles at once. She used to keep those bottles on a shelf above the kitchen sink, lined up like soldiers, the labels half peeled from steam. 3 cents a bottle. That was the price during the Depression. 3 cents bought a family of 7 a month of clean teeth, clean wounds, clean drinking water, and a vegetable garden that didn't rot at the roots. Then it was gone. Not because it stopped working, because somebody figured out how to sell you 12 products that did what 1 brown bottle used to do. Stay with me, because at number 17, there's a trick the dairy farmers in Wisconsin used on cracked cow udders that the American Medical Association quietly told doctors to stop recommending in 1938. At number 9, there's a seed-soaking method from a 1931 Ohio State Extension Bulletin that doubled germination rates on dead-looking corn. And at number 1, the single use that ties every one of these together, the one my grandmother said was the reason her family never paid a doctor during the worst 7 years of American history. These weren't banned because they were dangerous. They were buried because somebody got rich when your family forgot them. The generation that built this country didn't ask permission to take care of their own. And it took less than 2 generations to erase what they knew. Subscribe if you want that knowledge back, because we're starting now. Number 25, the morning mouth rinse. Your great-grandfather didn't own a tube of toothpaste. He had a tin cup, a pinch of baking soda, and a capful of 3% peroxide cut with 2 capfuls of water. Swished for 60 seconds, spit out, done. The University of Arizona Dental School confirmed in the 1970s what every farmhouse already knew, that dilution kills the bacteria that cause gingivitis at roughly the same rate as commercial mouthwash for about 1/40th of the cost. But Listerine launched its national advertising campaign in 1923, and by 1930 they had convinced housewives that bad breath was a social disease. The brown bottle still works. A gallon of it costs less than a single bottle of the blue stuff. Number 24, sweetening sour laundry. During the Dust Bowl, water was scarce and clothes picked up a smell that lye soap couldn't beat. Grandma poured 1 cup of peroxide into the rinse water of a wringer washer. It pulled the yellow out of white cotton and killed the mildew smell in a single cycle. Procter & Gamble started pushing chlorine bleach as the modern housewife's choice in 1933. Chlorine destroys fabric fibers. Peroxide breaks down into water and oxygen. Your grandmother's sheets outlasted yours because she knew the difference. Number 23, the wound wash that saved fingers. Before penicillin reached civilians in 1945, a split thumb in a wheat field was a death sentence if it went septic. Farmers carried a small bottle in the truck, pour it on, watch it foam, wrap it in clean cotton. The foaming is the oxygen lifting bacteria and debris out of the cut. A 1936 study from the Mayo Clinic showed properly diluted peroxide reduced infection rates and field injuries by more than half. The pharmaceutical industry quietly pushed antibiotic ointments through the 1950s because you can't patent a brown bottle. You can still pour it on a cut today. It still works the same way. Number 22, the chicken coop refresh. Your grandmother kept 20 hens behind the house and never lost a flock to respiratory disease. Once a week, she mixed 1 tablespoon of peroxide into a gallon of their drinking water. Auburn University Poultry Extension confirmed in the 1960s that low-dose peroxide in poultry water reduced the bacterial load in the crop and improved egg production by roughly 12%. The commercial poultry industry moved to medicated feeds and antibiotics in the 1950s because the feed companies could sell the medicated feed. Backyard flock keepers in 46 states still do this today. No prescription needed. Number 21, the denture soak. My grandfather lost his teeth in 1929 at the age of 41. He kept the same set of dentures until 1978. Every night, a glass of water, a capful of peroxide, drop them in. Polident wasn't introduced until 1945, and when it arrived, it cost 20 times what the brown bottle cost. The peroxide killed the yeast that causes denture sores and lifted the coffee and tobacco stains. His teeth outlasted 3 of his neighbors' store-bought soaks. Number 20. Cleaning the wooden cutting board. Before plastic boards, every kitchen had a thick slab of maple or pine that took a beating every day. After cutting chicken or pork, Grandma sprayed the board with straight 3% peroxide, let it foam for 2 minutes, wiped it clean. A 1997 study at the University of Wisconsin confirmed peroxide kills salmonella on wood surfaces faster than chlorine bleach, and unlike bleach, it doesn't leave a residue you'll later eat. Plastic cutting boards became the industry standard in the 1970s. The wooden board with the peroxide bottle was always safer. Number 19. The ear cleaning. 3 drops in each ear, lay on your side for 5 minutes, let it foam, drain it out on a towel. My great aunt did this every Sunday morning before church. Cleared wax that no cotton swab ever reached. The cotton swab itself was invented in 1923, and the manufacturer spent decades teaching Americans to push wax deeper into their own ears. Otolaryngologists today quietly recommend exactly what your great aunt did. The brown bottle. 3 drops. That's it. Number 18. Soaking tired feet. After a 14-hour day in the field or the factory, men came home with feet that ached and stank. A wash tub, hot water, half a cup of peroxide, half a cup of Epsom salt, 20 minutes. The peroxide killed the fungus between the toes that caused the smell. Athletes' foot creams became a $40 million industry by 1960. Your grandfather paid pennies and didn't have the fungus to begin with. Number 17. The dairy farmer's secret. In Wisconsin in the 1930s, cracked and infected udders could end a cow's milking life and bankrupt a small farm. Farmers wiped the udders with a peroxide-soaked rag before and after milking. It prevented mastitis without contaminating the milk. The American Medical Association in 1938 issued guidance discouraging doctors from recommending peroxide for veterinary use on dairy farms, citing the need for professional veterinary oversight. The real reason was the rise of commercial teat dips sold by the new agricultural chemical companies. Small dairy operations in 3 states still use the old method today. Their cows live longer. Number 16. Vegetable wash. Before pesticide residue warnings became a national conversation in 1962 with Rachel Carson's book Silent Spring, my grandmother was already washing every store-bought vegetable in a sink of cold water with a 1/4 cup of peroxide stirred in. Soak 5 minutes, rinse. It pulled surface bacteria, dirt, and a measurable amount of pesticide residue off the skin of apples and lettuce. The produce industry never wanted that practice to become common knowledge because clean looking and clean actually are not the same thing. Number 15. The houseplant root rescue. Your grandmother's African violets lived for 30 years on a windowsill because once a month she watered them with a mix of 1 teaspoon of peroxide in a quart of water. The extra oxygen reached the roots, killed the root rot fungus, and woke up tired soil. Garden centers sell root stimulants for $15 a bottle. The brown bottle does the same thing for pennies. Number 14. The canker sore. A cotton swab dipped in peroxide, held against the sore for 10 seconds, 3 times a day, gone in 48 hours. The over-the-counter canker sore industry sells products with the same active mechanism today, charging $8 for a tube that contains less working ingredient than a 50-cent bottle of peroxide. Number 13. Soaking the wooden butter churn. Sour milk, churned butter, summer heat. The wooden churn could grow bacteria that ruined a whole batch. After every use, Grandma rinsed it with cool water and a splash of peroxide, then sun-dried it on the porch railing. Stainless steel churns came in the 1940s and the wooden ones got thrown out. The wooden churn with peroxide cleaning produced butter that lasted longer in the spring house than anything commercial today. Number 12, the slow healing leg sore. Older folks with poor circulation got sores on their shins that wouldn't close. Doctors today call them venous ulcers. Before 1940, country nurses irrigated them gently with diluted peroxide once a day. The Veterans Administration quietly published a memo in 1947 discouraging the practice in favor of newer pharmaceutical wound treatments. Some wound care specialists today have rediscovered the old method for resistant ulcers when nothing else works. Number 11, the skunked dog. Tomato juice never worked. What worked was a quart of 3% peroxide, a quarter cup of baking soda, and a teaspoon of dish soap mixed in a bucket and sponged through the dog's coat. It chemically neutralizes the thiol compounds in skunk spray. A chemist named Paul Krebom published this exact formula in 1993, but the country folks had been using a version of it since the 1890s. The pet product industry sells skunk odor remover for $22 a bottle that contains essentially the same ingredients. Number 10, the well water sweetener. Country families with shallow wells used to drop a cup of peroxide down the well casing once a season. It oxidized the iron and sulfur that gave the water its rotten egg smell and killed the algae that grew on the casing walls. Municipal water systems started chlorinating in 1908, and by the 1940s, the bottled water industry was selling fear of well water. A clean well, treated the old way, gave better water than anything you can buy. Number 9, seed soaking for dead-looking corn. A 1931 Ohio State Extension bulletin documented that soaking corn kernels in a 1% peroxide solution for 8 hours before planting raised germination rates from 62% on old seed to 91%. The extra oxygen woke up the dormant embryo. During the Dust Bowl, this single trick kept families fed when their seed supply was 3 years old and looked dead. Modern seed companies don't advertise this because they want you buying fresh seed every spring. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You don't have land, you don't have chickens, you don't have a well, you live in an apartment or a quiet suburb, and most of this sounds like it belongs to somebody else's life. Listen close. Number 8, the countertop sprout garden. You can take a single mason jar, 2 tablespoons of alfalfa or broccoli seeds, rinse them in water with 5 drops of peroxide added, and grow more fresh greens in 5 days on your kitchen counter than a $5 bag of salad from the grocery store. The peroxide rinse prevents the mold that makes home sprouting fail. A 1978 Cornell study confirmed it. No yard, no permit, no landlord conversation. You can start this Tuesday. Number 7, the bathroom mold killer. Spray 3% peroxide straight from the bottle onto bathroom grout. Let it sit 10 minutes. Scrub. It kills black mold at the root, not just the surface. The cleaning product industry sells bathroom mold spray for $9 a bottle. The brown bottle costs $1.50 and works better because mold can't develop resistance to oxygen. Number 6, the refrigerator wipe down. Grandma wiped the inside of her icebox every Saturday morning with a rag dampened in peroxide. It killed the listeria and salmonella that grow on the shelves below where you store raw meat. The cleaning industry has never sold a refrigerator-specific cleaner that does the job better. They just want you to own one. Number 5, the toothbrush soak. Once a week, drop your toothbrush bristle down in a glass with 1 inch of peroxide. Leaves it overnight. Kills the bacteria that recolonize between brushings. A 1992 study at the University of Oklahoma Dental College showed soaked toothbrushes had 94% fewer bacteria than untreated ones. The toothbrush industry wants you replacing the brush every 3 months. The old way, you replace it when the bristles wear out. Number 4, loosening earwax in the family dog. Old farmers clean their dog's ears with diluted peroxide on a cotton ball, same as their own. Veterinary ear cleaners cost $15 to $20. The same active mechanism in the brown bottle costs less than $1. Number 3, the garden fungus stop. Tomato blight, powdery mildew on squash, black spot on roses. 1 tablespoon of peroxide in a quart of water in a spray bottle, applied in the cool of the morning, stops fungal disease without poisoning the pollinators. The agricultural chemical industry sells fungicides that cost $20 a bottle and kill bees. Your grandfather sprayed peroxide and his garden fed 7 children through 1932. Number 2. The sinus rinse. A neti pot, 8 ounces of distilled water, a quarter teaspoon of salt, and 3 drops of peroxide, once a day during cold season. It kills the bacteria and viruses living in the sinus cavities before they take hold as a full infection. The cold and flu medicine industry is worth $9 billion a year in the United States. Your great-grandmother spent 3 cents and didn't get sick. And now number 1. The reason my grandmother kept those 4 brown bottles on the shelf above the sink, the use that ties every one of these together, she used peroxide to make her family independent of the doctor, the dentist, the pharmacy, the cleaning aisle, the garden center, the pet store, and the bottled water company. 1 brown bottle, 3 cents during the Depression, replaced what would later become 12 separate industries selling you 12 separate products for 12 separate problems that one simple thing already solved. That's the real band hack. Not any single use. The whole philosophy. The idea that a family could take care of its own teeth, its own wounds, its own water, its own animals, its own garden, its own house, without asking permission and without paying tribute to a corporation for every small need of daily life. Every item on this list maps to a freedom. The mouthwash and the toothbrush soak, freedom from the dental aisle. The wound wash and the leg sore irrigation, freedom from minor medical visits. The chicken coop and the dairy method, freedom in your own backyard. The seed soak and the garden fungus spray, freedom at the grocery store. The well treatment and the sinus rinse, freedom from the bottled water aisle and the pharmacy counter. The sprout jar on your kitchen counter, freedom even if all you have is one window. That's what was buried in 1942. Not a chemical, a way of living. Your grandparents didn't ask permission to take care of their own family. They didn't apologize for knowing things. And somewhere between their kitchen and yours, somebody convinced us that we needed a specialist and a receipt for every small act of providing for ourselves. You just got it back. Now, everything I just showed you, the measurements, the dilutions, the old farm bulletins, and the household ledgers, I didn't want it scattered across 100 documents the way I found it. So I gathered all of it into one place. It's called the Pantry Blueprint. Every Depression-era household recipe, fully measured and fully sourced, including the $12 a year soap recipe that quietly replaces over $300 of store-bought products. If you want the complete set, there's a bundle in the description that saves you more than $100 today. The brown bottle was always yours. This just hands you the rest. Pick one, just one. Start the sprout jar on your counter Tuesday morning, or soak your toothbrush tonight, or wipe down your refrigerator this Saturday the way your grandmother did. One small act of independence this week, and you've already stepped back across the line they drew for you. Now tell me in the comments, did your grandmother keep that brown bottle on the shelf? Did your grandfather use it on a cut, on the chickens, in the well? I read every comment on this channel, and I want to hear the story your family carried. Type it out, even if it's just one line, because that's how this knowledge survives the next generation. Subscribe if you want to keep recovering what was taken. Next time, we're going into the kitchen, into the 5-pound bag of something every Depression household kept under the sink that the cleaning industry spent 40 years convincing you to throw away. You won't believe what it replaces.